So I play Captain Joe Glass, who's a naval commander. And at the beginning of the movie, there's a US and a Russian sub go missing in the Bering Strait, basically Russian waters, under mysterious circumstances. And I'm put in charge of a young submarine crew, never been in charge of them before. And we basically have to go in and find out what's going on as this situation is rapidly escalating towards the brink of war. And we come across some strange circumstances and realize everything is not as it seems, and we're going to have to do some pretty crazy things. I was given this script back in 2011, I think, a long time ago, and I loved it. It was one of the best military scripts I'd ever read. And I knew I wanted to make it, but we didn't have the situation with the US and Russia, so there wasn't the same emotional connection, that identifying with fear. And then things changed, and suddenly we had a movie, and bringing it into a modern context, and also bringing submarine warfare into the 21st century, into these new style of subs, state of the art. The peril is much greater, they're capable of so much more, and also these situations now, that the smallest skirmish can lead to something so much more dangerous. And that's great, kind of a great foundation to build a really exciting, thrilling ride on. Yeah, so we spent a lot of time with the Navy, with Navy commanders. I went to Pearl Harbor, and we worked in their training facilities and their wet trainers, which basically flood while you try to fix them and put out fires as you're starting to drown in freezing water. Went out on a sub for 3 days in a Los Angeles class submarine. Did all the drills, so we're doing battle stations and deep dives and quick surfaces and man overboard, and then spent a long time with these naval commanders all through production, pre-production. So by the time I started the movie, I was pretty much at the level of a CO, probably above. I was teaching them. Amazing. Like, we have Gary Oldman in this movie, and Linda Cardellini, who's phenomenal, Common, and my favorite, Michael Nyqvist, this wonderful Swedish actor who sadly is no longer with us. And our relationship is beautiful, this head-to-head, this cat and mouse, this chess game between these two alter egos. Myself, the US submarine commander, and this old kind of salty dog warrior, Russian commander. And that relationship is without a doubt my favorite part of the movie. And then this brilliant young crew of submariners and SEALs, and the incredible Toby Stevens, who's the head of the Navy SEALs. It's a phenomenal cast who all gave so much to this movie, and it's great because these younger actors, a lot of whom aren't so known, were phenomenal, and all the better for not knowing them, because you just identify with this young submarine crew who worked so hard and who put their lives on the line, and who are so passionate, and sometimes what's interesting in the movie, that passion can be the wrong thing. Sometimes it's about a lack of passion or not being guided by passion. It was, when I stepped into the set that we built, I really felt like I just stepped back into the USS Houston. It was, and even the naval advisor he worked to make it finally like it was, but even he said, I wouldn't know the difference, and that was down to like these multi-layered screens of information, and making sure the WEPS department was the same, the navigation, the sonar, without giving away any classified information. But it was a state-of-the-art control room on a Virginia-class sub. And then what we didn't get there, we went onto a real sub and used their actual crews for the moments in the movie with torpedo attacks and fires and battle stations. So we had like 120 actual Navy submariners, running through the sub, putting on gear, and it just gave our production value. It made it so real, so immersed in this movie, in this world, this submarine culture, and then you put a really interesting story on top of that, and you're in for the ride. memory. I have a lot of memories about working with Michael, but my overall feeling is what a beautiful man he was, and how patient and humble. And to me, I remember thinking, we're all in this room. We're going to be in this room for 6 weeks, just in this little room. And you tell a lot about a person. And there's a young crew of actors who are looking up to you know, the older, wiser figures. And if they are moody or full of ego or bitching, it's not a nice thing for them to see, you know. And he was the opposite of that. He was so good. He had time for everybody, and watching his craft and the way he worked, so interesting and willing to try things and get things wrong and get things right, but make it so multi-layered and fascinating that I learned so much just being with him. I feel like this movie is like three thrillers cut into one. It's got the classic submarine with all that claustrophobia and nail-biting tension, and it has a Navy SEAL team going through the dangers into enemy territory, and then the clashing of minds in the war room in Washington, and they're all phenomenal stories in their own right. And you bring that into one portrait of a world moving to war, and really, when you get that, we merged it right, which I think we did. You're on the edge of your seat the whole time, and yet at the same time, I feel like it gives a huge amount of respect and homage, well-deserved homage, to those of the silent service who do this every day. It gives us a chance to see the dangers they live with, the commitment, the dedication, and the intelligence and intellect that they use that nobody ever hears about.